Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's 5:59. I think we might make a start. We have a big evening ahead of us. My name's James McCormack. I'll be your host for this evening. I'll also be the timekeeper, working with the candidates. Could we start with an acknowledgement of country? The Central Coast Council acknowledges and pays respects to the traditional owners of Lutruwita, Tasmania, the Palawa Pakana people. We acknowledge the Punalapana tribe of this northern country, and in doing so, we celebrate one of the world's oldest continuous cultures. Well, ladies and gentlemen, 22 elections, Central Coast Council. The turnout from candidates has been very strong. I was involved in the 28 event. We had more than we did then, and that was a good turnout. I'm also delighted to see that we have a very good community turnout, and we have community people watching via live stream. Given the number of candidates we have here tonight, we will be following a process which will see each candidate invited forward with an allotted 5 minutes to speak. So I'll call you forward, and when you speak, as you start to speak, the 5 minutes will start. Once you've hit 3 minutes, you'll hear the bell. You'll have 2 minutes to go. With 20 seconds to go, you'll hear the bell again. And at the 5 minute mark, I'll be coming to the lectern again to introduce the next candidate. So very subtle, and I'm sure you'll notice me doing that. We do appreciate that this is a little unusual to some of the earlier styles of forums that have happened, but the opportunity to talk one-on-one with candidates and ask them further questions will be available over a light supper at the conclusion of the event. So, just a reminder, candidates, you'll be called forward one by one. You have 5 minutes to speak. With 2 minutes to go, you'll hear the bell. With 20 seconds to go, you'll hear another bell. And then at the conclusion, I'll be at the lectern again. So thank you very much. My first candidate to speak is Diane Curl.
Hi, my name is Diane Curl. Firstly, let me thank you all for making the effort and coming here tonight to hear what we have to say. I live and have lived in the Central Coast region most of my life. I'm married, have 3 children and 3 young grandchildren. I'm a retired businesswoman and a part-time beef farmer. From my career in business, I gained experience with small business and all that entails. I'm a past member of the local Chamber of Commerce, where I was an active participant. If elected, I will raise the issue of garbage collection. I want to restore the weekly garbage collection. The current policy is not working. Almost all I talk to raise this very important issue. Bigger bins are not the answer. A weekly collection would free up the council bins around the municipality, which are quite often filled upon being emptied. That would leave the bins usable for the community and tourists. Bring back our weekly garbage collection. If elected, I will raise the issue of the condition of our country roads. We need to keep them well maintained. I would hate them to degrade any further, as I can see that later on our children will be burdened with the cost of repairs. We need the culverts kept clear and the verges maintained. The road surfaces are wearing out. Potholes can cause collisions. Road safety on our country roads is important, as it is within all our municipality. For our outer suburbs, Haybridge and Blythe Heads, Sulphur Creek, Forth, Sprent, etc., must not be forgotten. For instance, on speaking with the residents of Haybridge, I find a main concern for them is the inadequate bus shelter, which is too small. On a rainy day, the present shelter does not accommodate all the children and public passengers. A public toilet in that area is also needed. These are not big things, but would make a big difference to that particular community. Also, there is an issue with trucks turning left into Caprona Road. Perhaps a speed bump might help with this issue, and that is speeding vehicles. Residents ought not be subjected to speeding cars and trucks. If elected, I will address the issue of rising rates. With the recent rise in house prices, what will this do to our property valuations? What will the impact be to homeowners? I believe this is an area that Council needs to explore now and not just sit back and wait for the financial windfall. We need to always consider the impost that Council places upon homeowners and keep rates at an affordable level. We have great facilities which we need to continue to provide and maintain, at the same time keeping ratepayer cost to a minimum, not forgetting our agriculture, small businesses and industry, which help make our community a great place to work and live. Let me represent you in shaping the future of and improving lives within our community. I believe that the Council need to keep to the 3 R's, roads, rubbish and rates. Let's get the basics right, but also let's not forget our splendid parks and public areas. Maintain them for sure, keep them neat and pleasant, but let's not go overboard. Too often I'm hearing of unreasonable delays in building permits. We need to investigate these delays and identify and eliminate any cause of these delays. Development and progress often mean jobs. Our young people need jobs, and as a councillor, I would always work towards that end. I'm often asked, do I support a number of matters? Parking. Our parking needs to be free of meters. Encouraging people into our community so our businesses can grow and thrive. Do I support the council's position on dogs? I think the policy needs work. The dog parks require some attention. Another gate is required, and something needs to be done to make it accessible to those in wheelchairs or in buggies. They cannot use it as they cannot reach to get in or out. Access to the toilet is also required there. This is in Ulverston. The Penguin Dog Park also has issues that need addressing. Airbnbs. I'm a strong supporter of free enterprise, but to be fair, I believe these premises should be rated as commercial properties. Now, there are people living in our community who are in need of some assistance. We need to identify these needs and ensure people are provided with the help needed. Be it homelessness, drugs, alcohol, mental illness. People need to have access to services and easily be able to find out about them. I love living on the Central Coast. I want to see our lifestyle maintained and improved. I'm not afraid of hard work, and I undertake to do my very best if elected. I'm seeking your number one vote in this election, both as a councillor and deputy mayor, so I can be a voice for you. I'm caring, competent and committed. Vote 1, Diane Curl for councillor. Vote 1, Diane Curl for deputy mayor. Thank you for listening.
Diane, thank you very much for that. I didn't get to use my 20-second bit. I'm sure it will come up later in the evening. Our next candidate to speak is Ariel Atkins. Ariel.
Thank you, Diane. That was fantastic. Hi, everyone. If you don't know me, my name is Ariel Atkins, also known as Ari from CFM. I don't have speech. Why not? Because I am See What You Get. I'm on social media all over the air. I think you know enough about me as it is, but I do have something to do with you if you're willing to participate. I would like you all to please, if you can and able to stand up. And if you're playing along at home, stand up. Stay standing if you're in between the ages of 18 and 30. For those playing along at home, almost everyone but 3 have sat down. And I mean, isn't that proof enough why we need more younger people running for council? We need a variety, we need a voice, and you need me. So I'm going to keep it short and simple, but that is one of the reasons why I'm running for council. I also am currently not married, I don't have kids, and I have a lot of time and a lot of energy to give to you and the Central Coast.
Ariel, thank you. I didn't get to use the 2-minute bit. Thank you anyway. Our next candidate is Stephen Jackson.
Thanks everyone for coming out tonight. I just want to talk a bit about, what my values are and what I think we can do on the Central Coast. So, along with my wife, Angela, and we've got 4 young children. We've really always valued that community support. We think it's really important as you bring a young family. You can't do this thing by yourself, and a bit like that village mentality. We think that's really important. So. And recently I was reading a report, it was a Tasmanian government report, and it said that local people really value a local voice, they value local representation. However, that same report did highlight that those same local people are confused and frustrated at times with local government. So there's no doubt that our communities are more diverse than ever before, and there's more challenges than ever before with information technology and screens. And just our changing diversity within the family unit. It doesn't look like it used to when I grew up. So I think our time is about bringing people together. It's not a time for what I call one cause warriors. We don't need that. We need people that are across the board on a few things, that are listening, that have empathy for our community. So I think what I want to bring to the council is a servant heart, that thing that we're there to serve others. We're not there to say what we want, but we're there to do what you guys want. That's really important. We're there to serve and have that servant heart, and we should say, we are here to work for you. And we are, with that type of attitude, with a servant attitude, we can get the vision of having a better community, a growth in wellness and livability within our community. Sadly, I often feel that you hear the stories that, today's a lot harder for families. And when I grew up there on the northwest coast, there's a real connection with family. My mother was a single mother, and she had 3 triplet sons. And when we took our first tentative steps here on the coast, a lot of the community came around. Right from the mayor to the local milkman, we got free milk for the first 6 months. And all those people, they were real people making a real difference in our families' lives. And so when I think of that, I think of those people, what they did, and those values stuck with me. That now I've got a bit older, it's time for me to give back those same values that they put into me. So I believe that as an elected member, we need to set the tone. We need to walk the walk and talk the talk. We need to give back. I've got an aptitude for problem solving. I've had 30 odd years in business and been successful in that range. Also been in a variety of community groups, and we've had success there in change management and improving outcomes for people. It's very important that we set our eyes on the outcome rather than the process. We've got to fix the process sometimes to get the outcome, Also, additionally to that, recently I went to the University of Tasmania and got awarded a Master of Business Administration through there. And a couple of years ago I also graduated from the Australian Institute of Company Directors. And those sort of qualifications help you really understand the role of a board and its responsibilities really clearly. Saying that, I must say this, I'm not really one for plaques on walls. I reckon they're better off when you draw somewhere and the people tell you what you do. You shouldn't have your plaque on your wall telling you, I've got that award, I've got that. Well, that means crap to me, to be honest. Put it in the drawer, get on with the job, and people will soon tell you, quite frankly, how you're going with what you're doing. I think that's really important. So the skills I've learned really on the streets, that's how I grew up, just on the streets, battling on. You learn on the streets, and you learn in the boardroom, and you learn in the classroom. You want to be a lifelong learner. So that gives me confidence that if elected, I can do the role and the responsibilities to serve you people best. Not that I should promote myself above anyone else, because I feel that that wouldn't be right. There's a lot of great selections here. It's really up to the people in the community to choose who they want to select. But what I would say this, I will promise you that I will listen to you, that you will be heard, that I'll be one player of 9, that will keep our eye on the ball, and will always remember the best player is unity. Thank you very much.
Stephen, thank you for that. Our next candidate is Casey Biscuit.
Thank you. I would first like to acknowledge the traditional owners for the land on which we stand. I would also like to acknowledge the outgoing Mayor Jan Bond and Councillors Tony Van Ruin and Annette Overton, and welcome all the other candidates that have nominated and are here tonight. I advocated for more candidates to run, and here they are. Hi everyone, and thank you for taking the time out tonight to either tune in or come and listen to the candidate forum. I think the best thing that people can be is informed. If you leave tonight armed with more knowledge than you came with, then it has been worthwhile. Elections should be about voting for candidates that represent you. This can mean many things: looks, background, style, but this representation should mostly be about ideals, dreams and ambitions. It should be about who you think is best able to realise these things. The best representative is someone who can negotiate in good faith, engage with a broad spectrum of the municipality, and get people to come together to achieve the best outcome for all. I'm Casey Hiskett. I grew up on the house at Hiskett Farm. I married a local girl, the daughter of the owners of the Hazelbrook Farm Nursery from the back of Penguin, and we have 3 young children. I played football and basketball for Penguin, and my son is now attending Penguin Ryan Auskick 2. I currently work at Penguin Composites. Having been on council for 4 years and working with the public my entire life, I'm someone who can confidently say that I can work with others to realise your passions. I come to this election with no personal agenda. I don't want to fix that single issue. I want to hear from you and help you to overcome your issues in whatever way I can. I want to help you achieve your dreams and ambitions. There are things this council needs to work on. For example, a more comprehensive and inclusive plannings approvals process. We need to be a council that helps people, not hinders them. That is why I successfully moved a motion that this process be reviewed. I also believe that our small businesses are at the heart of our community. I successfully pushed to remove the fee required when needing a traffic management plan for the council, making it easy to clean an awning or a shop front. There is so much more to do though. We need to look at our rural roads. The council has begun this process but needs to have strong leadership to strive to improve this situation. We also have a striving arts community with Central Coast, and the Slipstream Circus is one of the most unique aspects of this. I will continue to ensure the council has an appropriate home for them. Mostly, I just like helping people. Navigating local government can be tricky at times, and some people need assistance, whether it be that potholes need fixing or a disabled car park is needed or people just need an ear to listen. These are all things that I have helped people with. I also like getting out to all the events in our community and seeing the generosity that abounds. Every event has a raffle with donated goods. It is good to see this kindness. Being a councillor gives you a unique chance to attend so many events through the municipality. The will to serve must be strong in the Hiskett blood. We care about our community. From James T. Hiskett, my great-grandfather who served as warden in Penguin, to 2 of his sons, Hugh and Desmond, who served as wardens and members of the Legislative Council, to Mum, Leonie Hiskett, who is our current sitting member for Montgomery, and now it is my turn to serve the community, and hopefully to do so in a leadership role. Last candidate forum, I said that the Hisketts had over 100 years of service. Since then, it has grown to at least 108 years. I have many mentors to turn to for advice. We don't always agree in politics, but my family are my heroes. There is something I would like to address. It is true that I do not rest my head in Central Coast. My wife is a radiographer at the Mersey Hospital, and they require her to be close by to be on call. This is the only reason we moved. I lived here for all my childhood and youth, and I would argue that I have lived within the municipality for a longer period than many of the candidates standing here. I only briefly left the region to attend university at UTAS in Launceston, where I did a degree in environmental design. Since then, I have also spent most of my working career in Central Coast, at Tom Sheet Metal and currently at Penguin Composites. I was asked why I don't run for Devonport, and the answer was easy. I don't care about Devonport, but I do care about this region. I own property at the Hiskett Farm, and my wife and I have a rich history in the region. You can take the boy from Howth, but you can't take Howth from the boy. I have my heart in this region and am thankful to have the opportunity to serve. I had the option to not disclose this information on the rates notice and could have hidden this fact, but I'm not one for deception. I mentioned that I'm planning to run for a leadership role, this time as Deputy Mayor. I feel like the last 4 years has given me the experience I need to help lead this council to its fullest potential. I'm happy to work with any of the mayoral candidates, with vim and vigour they say. Barack Obama said, if you're walking down the right path and you're willing to keep walking, eventually you'll make progress. I am willing to keep walking the path that the council is walking on and will strive to continue to make progress. I believe it is the right path. Once again, you need to vote for someone that you feel can represent you, your ideals and your desires, and I believe that I can be that candidate. I look forward to talking to you all afterwards, and remember to vote for a name you can trust. Vote 1, Casey Hiskett.
Casey, thank you. Our next candidate is John Beswick.
Good evening all. I'm John Beswick, and it's been a privilege to represent you on council for the last 4 years. My wife Trudy and I have lived in Central Coast all our life and have operated a building business based in Ulverston for 40 years. My first term as a councillor has been a learning experience and very rewarding, with some of the major projects being construction of Hive, Penguin seawalls and coastal pathway extensions, all carried out while dealing with the effects of COVID on our staff and contractors. These projects have been supported with considerable funding from the state and federal governments. This shows the importance of having shovel-ready projects ready when funding opportunities arise. My experience with planning has helped when we act as the planning authority in our council meetings. Understanding the drawings presented means I can ask the appropriate questions and at times lead the debate around the table. Having toured the Dolphin Waste Facility, it shows how much rubbish we create. Due to the proactive steps taken by this council to implement the FOGO strategy, it has helped reduce our landfill by around 40%. This saves the community from paying the new government waste levy. Further rollout of FOGO to businesses in the future will improve this. I've also learned that decisions before council should not be made solely based on a group who make the most representations, or let's say noise. We need to seek out what the rest of the community think and get a broad understanding of the issues. I've found that in some instances in my time, people have been uneasy to be honest with their thoughts or feelings, so as not to offend those groups, and that to be sad and somewhat intimidatory. I'm standing again for council, and now that I'm semi-retired, I'm standing for Deputy Mayor. I'm keen to use the experience gained in my last term to help shape our community for the future and to be part of the leadership team with the new Mayor and council management and foster a strong sense of teamwork and pride across the whole community and organisation. I'm disappointed though that we have a political party running a candidate in this election. Council to me is consensus leadership and teamwork. That's why it's called local government. It's about roads, rates and rubbish and community spirit. There shouldn't be a political party agenda or policies in local government. I'm often asked why the council hasn't done this or it needs to do that. Council has a long-term plan for new works, replacements and or maintenance of infrastructure, which are budgeted for, so we need to be aware. Without extra income, there would need to be cutbacks in other areas to fund any extra projects, be they large or small. As an example, $150,000 of extra expense equates to an increase of 1% of the general rate. So I invite you as voters to be mindful of what is being committed this election. A priority for the next term will be working through the local government review. I would like to see as a minimum more resource sharing between councils. With so many councils on the coast, we need to be smarter and do things better. Let's use payroll for an example. Every council has a payroll system plus staff. We could have a shared payroll centre on the northwest coast for all the councils. We met the Cradle Coast Mountain Bike Club this year, and this volunteer group have done an amazing job with modest financial support. They have some great plans for the Dial area with the new trails and infrastructure, and it is pleasing that a committee of council is to be formed to work with the club to facilitate this plan. When you look around the state, other councils have been heavily involved in mountain bike infrastructure with major government funding. I feel Central Coast has been left behind. The Dial and Penguin can, with support, become the mountain bike hub of the northwest coast. The coastal pathway has been a great success, and I see daily the use that it gets by all ages, which is fantastic. The current works at Leith, Sulphur Creek to Penguin and West Ulverston will be finished by the middle of next year. We then need to finalise plans as soon as possible for the last relatively easy section from Penguin to the Three Sisters. This then leaves one last challenging section around the Three Sisters which we need to find a solution for. I've been encouraging cycle path links to towns, schools and through to the coastal pathway. To progress this, we need safe designated bike pathways and more racks placed in the supermarket car parks and around town for secure storage of your bike or scooter. The community can then choose to leave their cars at home, commute, shop and children can ride safely to school. If you think my skills can continue to be beneficial as a councillor and Deputy Mayor, I ask that you give me your number one vote. I will listen and be a strong, practical, passionate voice, and it will be a privilege to represent you again. Thanks very much.
Thank you, John. 5 minutes, not a second more. Our next speaker is David Robinson.
So I'll keep this short. G'day, I'm looking to be your next counsellor. My name is Dave Robinson and I love STEM, science, technology, engineering and mathematics. And I love the arts and I really, really love the hive. Thank you for the Hive, and thank you everyone for the Hive. First, I'd like to thank the current councillors for the financial stability this council has, and for the professionalism. I've been watching the YouTube videos, and it's so well done. I hope everyone keeps watching those to see how great our council is. I've seen many councils over the years, and this council is fantastic in the professionalism and the way things are dealt with. I hope those who are putting their hand to be re-elected are all re-elected, so us as new councillors can learn and shadow and get our knowledge as quick as possible. And I'd especially like to thank Mayor Bond for everything that she's done and her next activities. So firstly, about me. I grew up on a free-range chicken farm. I can teach you all how to pluck a chicken. That's my skill set. I've been on many committees before moving to Ulverston. I've been on ratepayers, I've been on land care, I've been on many theatre and the arts kind of committees. I've been president, secretary, treasurer. I've done all those fun jobs everyone loves to do. I enjoy being part of a community and playing an active role. I'm a techie, or you might say geek. I love playing with and sharing knowledge of computers and electronics. Therefore, STEM is my interest area. I've recently left Amazon and come here, where I was working as a lean business improver. I was looking at the activities that all the businesses were doing in their processes and seeing whether I can remove repetitive steps, or most importantly, showing people that they can see that there's a better way and showing them the process and the steps that they can improve that. I've also worked as a technical program manager. So this is like a project manager, but you're kind of trying to steer the ship while rebuilding the ship at the same time. It's this role that I feel makes an outstanding councillor, as this is a strategic and policy role. Councillors and team have to make decisions and set policy for months or years in advance. So we should continue to streamline processes so the community can talk directly with the relevant parties within council. And not so much through the councillors, is my view. Councillors, to me, are the fallback and the safety system if these systems fail. So we should be making decisions for the future and not firefighting, not giving the impression that the councillors were going to go and manage staff and put those things out. We're not here for that. I feel that the council team should be diverse in their representation, so I'm putting my hand up as the STEM technology guy, representing the community to continue to expand the incredible Hive, and since I'm told it's the only public science centre in Tasmania, which is extraordinary. The culture of the Hive is now part of the town, and new people are moving in and making their decisions based on the things that we've got here. When we moved here, when we saw the Hive and we saw the amazing schools and things that were in this area, we thought this is the place, we have to move here. We've been up and down the coast around, we'll be travelling around, and Ulverston and the Central Coast, it's the bee's knees. So for those that are interested in STEM and the tech activities, I'm starting up a newsletter, which is on our website, drobinson.com.au, and I'm doing some courses at the Hive. So I'd like to, if you are interested in that, please come to the website, sign up for that, and please vote for Dave Robinson for anything to do with STEM and technology, and I can be your geek IT guy.
David, thank you. Our next candidate is Bill Hutchison.
Good day, everybody. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. It's great turnout here. It's great to see such interest in local government elections. So we're all standing for council because we love where we live. We're passionate about making it the best place possible for current and future residents. So we all have that in common. For those who don't know me, I live in Forth, where I've lived for the last 5 years. I've over 35 years experience in local government across 8 different councils, including 20 years experience as a senior manager. I moved to the Northwest Coast to live 5.5 years ago. Initially I started off in Penguin, then moved to Forth. So I took a job here in a senior position with the Central Coast Council, so I know how things work. 3 years ago I retired, but then of course COVID came along. So instead of sitting at home doing nothing, I found a job with Biosecurity Tasmania. So since then I've worked as a senior manager within Biosecurity Tasmania. I'll soon be retiring from BT, from biosecurity, but I thought, with all this time on my hands and my skills, what would be the best thing for me to do? So for that reason, I've decided to nominate as a councillor and also as a deputy mayor. So what skills and experience do I have that would assist me in being an effective councillor? Because that's important, being an effective councillor. So, as I mentioned, I have 35 years experience in local government across 8 different councils. Everything from very large councils like the City of Ballarat to very small councils with a population of 6,000 people. So it's about being able to deliver services under different models to different people, depending on what's most appropriate. I've worked with probably at least 150 councillors over the years, some of which were very good and some of which were not so good. So I've learnt what actually works within the community, but also what works as a team as part of that council. I'm still actually involved in local government. I'm part of an audit panel in another local government area, so I'm kept up to date in terms of what's happening in the local government cycles, both from legislation point of view, etc. So the sorts of jobs that I actually did within council. So I was responsible for the finances at several councils, often dealing with budgets in excess of $50 million. So I know about the processes involved in delivering a budget that meets the requirements of the Local Government Act. I'm also mindful around that this is public funds, so they need to be managed properly. Part of the roles I also had was I was responsible for the governance function. Now, governance can sound pretty boring. It's about knowing legislation, etc. But the good thing about governance is it means that the decisions that are made consistently and they're transparent. The last thing you want is inconsistency, where on one condition, one time you might make this decision and one time you might make that. It's about being consistent. Probably the area that gave me the most satisfaction was working in community planning. So as part of the role there, I actually worked within all the communities of the particular local government that I worked at to develop community plans. So I facilitated community planning sessions, both small and large, and they developed their own community plans. So these plans celebrated what the people thought of their community, what they wanted the community to develop, and what they then did was they actually fed into then a broader council planning framework. So that helped then set the agenda for some of those smaller townships, which can sometimes get left behind. As far as qualifications goes, I have an environmental degree in environmental planning and I have an accounting qualifications. So that means I can count trees. In my many leadership roles, the one thing I've learned is that everyone in the team has something to offer. If elected, this would be how I would work with the other councillors. We may not always agree, but it's important that we respect that we all bring something different to the table, and that as a collective, we can make sound decisions for the best interests of the community. I'm not a single issue candidate. I'll look at all issues with an open mind and make every effort to find out what the community's thoughts are on each issue. It's my aim to build real community engagement and consultation between the community and council. Far too often, council goes to the community after a decision is made, rather than as part of the process of exploring options. This is not consulting, this is informing. So my vision, I want to see a vibrant Central Coast where it continues to be an ideal place for families, business, and also for retirees. Let's continue to build on what we have. As an organisation, I want to see council challenge what it's always done and to look at the customer service focus for the community. Thank you again for this opportunity, and I wish all candidates the best endeavours to be elected. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. The next candidate is Darren Briggs.
Thanks, James, for the acknowledgement to country. Great to see everyone here, and it's great to see that so many people are willing to participate in governance, which looks good for our community going here. Hi, I'm Darren Briggs. Thinking globally, acting locally is my motto. Listening to and speaking on behalf of community, ensuring council puts people first, acts on evidence and makes environmentally sustainable decisions is my pledge to you. I moved to the northwest in 2011, attracted by the natural beauty and the wild places for which our region is revered. A livable climate into the future was definitely on my mind. I came to further my career as a doctor in emergency medicine and in general practice, and have worked locally in the north in the northwest and in the north of the state in general. I'm passionate about healthcare. Investment in prevention is always better than a cure. Development decisions in our towns and regions impact our health. Pedestrian footpaths, trails and cycleways, pedestrian-focused town centres, sporting infrastructure all encourage exercise, reduces weight, improves mental health and prolongs life. Green spaces for shade and protection of natural habitat are critical in a world with a rapidly heating climate, which is increasing the numbers attending our GP clinics and our hospitals in our region, and worsening our health. Building design, including light and ventilation, affect our mood and the spread of infectious diseases. Accessibility for the aged, people with disabilities and the young is critical for participation. Access to healthy, fresh foods is vital for our future. I'm passionate about healthcare. Local council has a significant role to play in healthcare. Before working as a doctor, I worked as a small animal and a dairy veterinarian in the northeast of the state. I had some first-hand knowledge and empathy for those living in rural regions of our area and the importance of our clean, green image to the Tasmanian brand, our economy and food security. Council is an opportunity to think globally and act locally. I don't want to see fast food outlets approved next to gyms or sporting facilities without voicing my concerns over communities' health. I don't want to see continuing loss of biodiversity in our natural areas when the state of our natural environment is rapidly deteriorating and when we are leading the way in threatened species and extinctions. I want to see more novel approaches to housing, including tidy homes, tiny that is not tidy, and a reduction of our housing footprint. Addressing the cost of living, housing and homelessness crisis affecting our community is essential to increase opportunity and equality. Preserving as much of our rich and fertile region for food production and biodiversity rather than urban sprawl must be prioritised. The new Penguin seawall is acknowledged on Council's website as being due to climate change. I want to see more climate change adaptation and mitigation steps from Council. I want to see more recycling and education to reduce waste. Council's introduction of FOGO and reduced rubbish collection and implementation of recycling hubs has shown leadership in our region. There is more to be done in waste management space. I don't want to see foreign multinational salmon companies profiting from our beautiful oceans, paying minimal rates and royalties with little regard for our environment. Coastal waters west of Penguin have been suggested as potential sites for salmon farms. Our oceans already provide productive and lucrative fishing, tourism, recreational and environmental services for our community and should be respected. Council's an opportunity to think globally and act locally. I'm proud to be standing as a Greens candidate. Party-aligned candidates may be new in our region, but the influence of politics is not. Many other candidates here tonight will have strongly held political beliefs which influence decision-making. I believe strongly in honesty and integrity. I stand as a Green rather than trying to pretend politics has no influence over my decisions. Greens put people first, act on evidence, and make environmentally sustainable decisions. Local council to me is far more than just rates, rubbish and roads. Listening to and speaking on behalf of the community, ensuring council puts people first, acts on evidence and makes environmentally sustainable decisions is my pledge to you. That's why I, Darren Briggs, are running as a Greens candidate. Thanks.
Darren, thank you, with 4 seconds to spare. Our next candidate is Damien McCulloch.
Thank you, James. I'm standing for the Central Coast Council because I want to be involved in continuing to make the Central Coast a great place to live, work, play and retire. I believe I have a unique set of skills and a common sense approach to bring to the decision-making process, and I'm willing to ask the hard questions. I'm a married father of 4 children, For the past 16 years, I've owned a Jim's mowing business and a green waste recycling business called The Bagman. I currently employ 4 staff. I also have helped my son with his small but growing agricultural business called Fletcher's Poultry. I've been involved in a number of sporting associations over the years, but I'm currently enjoying being part of Parkrun, and I'm a patrolling member of the Ulverston Surf Club along with my 2 daughters. My businesses allow me to be invited into the homes and gardens of a diverse range of community members, and I feel this is one of my biggest assets to the council. Connecting with people and building relationships with regular clients has always been my biggest priority in my businesses, and I pride myself on being easily accessible, either in person, via phone or social media. I strongly believe that the Central Coast Council can improve their communications. There's been a number of recent situations, one being the review of dog-friendly beaches, that has highlighted the need for better communications, community confusion and very slow responses to social media comments cannot continue. I see potential for the council to have a communications officer, but more than that, I think the council needs to be comprised of a wide range of community members who has an ear to the ground to ensure the whole community is engaged, heard and communicated with. I've been excited to see the coastal pathways progressing along the coast, and I enjoyed being a member of the Turners Beach Integrated Pathways Committee. I'm passionate about families and children with easy and free options for exercise and recreation. Completing the coastal pathways is an important focus, but I believe we can take it a step further and look at ways to link schools, shopping centres and sporting grounds. To establish a link between Forth and Turners Beach would be a great addition to local families. Last year, my family and I were part of the Turners Beach 7-day makeover. When the opportunity arose, I knew I wanted to be part of it for a number of reasons. The first being that it would be great fun for us as a family to join with our community and create something we will benefit from and enjoy for years to come. The second reason was that I am someone who loves to be involved and contribute my thoughts, ideas and time to being part of a positive change. During the last few weeks, I've been re-watching speeches from the last council election, and multiple candidates mentioned parking as an issue. However, it seems that parking hasn't been a high priority for this council since then. For our local businesses to continue to benefit from free parking, attracting shoppers from outside our area, we need to start focusing on ways to increase parking availability now. Small businesses are the lifeblood of any community. Without businesses, we will fail to attract residents, investments, and the livability of Central Coast will diminish. As a small business owner myself, I have the ability to understand and communicate with business owners as the council looks for ways to encourage growth and development. As I mentioned earlier, I'm involved with Parkrun. I love Parkrun, not just because it's a free fitness opportunity for families, but for the sense of community it creates with a wonderful cross-section of the residents. Parkrun also provides towns with an opportunity to attract tourists each Saturday morning. Establishing a parkrun within the Central Coast is something I've already been exploring and have a number of people keen to assist. I would love the opportunity, as a councillor, to establish a committee to see a local parkrun started soon. To recap, I'm passionate about making sure our community members are heard and believe my approachability and the time I invest in developing relationships is a strength to enable this. I thoroughly research, have a common sense approach, and I'm willing to ask tough, thought-provoking questions during decision-making processes. And I strongly believe that although the Central Coast Council is already a great place to live, there is potential to see growth in many areas, and I want to be part of facilitating that growth. Vote 1, Damien McCulloch.
Damien, thank you. Our next candidate is Kate Wiley.
For taking the time to come and hear us all speak and to educate yourself on which candidates resonate with you, share your values and will work to achieve great things for our Central Coast. I'm going to start with a little about me and why I've decided to stand for council in this election. My partner Phil and I are lucky enough to live in beautiful Turners Beach with our 4 children. We've lived there for 9 years now and could not imagine living anywhere else. I'm so passionate about the community there, along with the whole of Central Coast. I believe that the Central Coast is the best place to live, work and raise a family. I feel there needs to be representation from Forth, Leith and Turners Beach on council, as there hasn't been anyone from that area in years at the time. In saying that, it will be my priority to represent the whole of the Central Coast municipality to the best of my ability. My working background is varied, but includes hospitality management, real estate, sales and marketing, as well as business and brand development. The skills I've gained in these areas that I will bring to council if elected are great communication and teamwork, knowledge and understanding of business and innovation, as well as leadership and drive to get results. Councils need people with passion, determination, integrity, logical thinking, the ability to work collaboratively and sincere listening skills. I think these are all qualities I could bring to our council. The reason I'm standing for council stems from my 4 beautiful children and wanting to help shape the best place for them and their peers to grow up, both now and into the future. I think it's important involving children in community projects and teaching them to take pride and care for their community and natural resources, as well as for each other. Together we've helped with the 7-day makeover, the Turners Beach Community Garden, and have also put our hand up for Coast Care Working Bees, amongst other things. I'd love to encourage more youth involvement in our community if elected, as we are setting the scene for our future by putting the work into our children now. Other things I'm passionate and will prioritise if I get on council are a healthy and safe community with a focus on supporting the mental health of our community, our incredible natural environment and creating better use of it through education, support for business, adventure tourism and ecotourism, better support for small business and industry, particularly with services such as waste management, innovation and sustainability, and also encouraging community to shop locally and offer support for our amazing producers and farmers, which there are plenty of. Our farmers, both large and small, work tirelessly to provide beautiful fresh produce for our tables, jobs for our community and economic growth for our municipality and region. They need our local government and community support. I would also like to see improvement on planning processes with a drive for more personalised consultation right from the start. Better support for the council workforce and looking at how communication and processes could be improved. I'd provide better communication by being accessible, getting back to people promptly, and listening and acting upon the needs of the community with empathy and respect. I know we hear a lot from candidates in the campaign period, and then, well, sometimes it's like tumbleweeds. I'll keep communication lines open if I was fortunate enough to get a seat on council. I'd also like to see improvements in the way council relay information to the community so that everyone has equal opportunity to get involved, whether it's an event, a community consultation or anything else. There's nothing worse than finding out something's happened after the fact. Finally, I'd like to say that although I'm going into this without the experience of some, I'm keen to learn and grow and always look to do better. Working collaboratively with councillors, council staff and also other government bodies is critical to success, and I believe that I can do that. My campaign is evidence of thinking creatively about how things can be done a little differently and sustainably. I've used eco signs, which are a paper product and can be paper waste recycled. All of my mail-outs are 100% post-consumer recycled card and plant-based inks, making them both recyclable or compostable. While it may have taken a little more time to source the right product, I feel proud to know that I've not added a whole heap of plastic waste in this local campaign. There is always a better, more innovative way of doing things without sacrificing business, industry, community or the natural environment. We just need to keep an open mind and do the work. It would be an honour to have your vote in this election. Your trust in me would not be taken for granted, and I will do everything I can to do my part in making our beautiful Central Coast thrive. Please come and have a chat to me afterwards. I'd love to hear from you. Vote 1 Kate Wiley.
Well done. Thank you, Kate. Our next speaker and candidate is Cheryl Pooler. Gail, you were originally going to be number 7. We'll have you speak after Cheryl.
Thank you, James. Good evening, and thank you for coming along or tuning in. A current councillor who grew up in Ulverston, the daughter of Ken and Bev Jacobs, who committed themselves to lives of volunteerism. I spent 10 years on the mainland and then returned to Penguin to raise my young daughters, and I now live and work in Ulverston. 20 years of involvement in school groups, sporting and service clubs mean I know this community well, and I pride myself on being approachable and compassionate. People tell me they value our lifestyle and our natural spaces. They want council to use resources wisely and work with other councils if that means getting better results. The majority of people I talk to have never participated in the development of council's 10-year plan, and they've given me lots of suggestions about how they could be involved in deciding what the priorities should be. In the last 4 years, I've been instrumental in having liaison staff attend meetings for both the Penguin History and the Penguin Makeover community groups. I have supported the residents of Leith in their efforts to be heard over the issue of a bypass when the state government's communication was appalling. I have chosen to serve on committees focused on community safety, disability access and inclusion, and youth mentoring. I have maintained personal membership with the Chamber of Commerce and become involved with Ulverston's men mental health groups and the Penguin Op Shop's focus on poverty and homelessness. I've been involved with the Masters Games in 2017 and again this year because for me, encouraging Masters sport is about health, social wellbeing and volunteerism. As you can see, my interests are broad and my commitment to playing my part in each of them is reliable. 4 years ago, I said I would focus on the implementation of FOGO, planning scheme changes that would protect buildings of historical value, and Council's action on climate change, and I have followed through with those issues. I have put forward a number of notices of motion in my effort to progress and understand issues of importance that have been brought to me. I've met with people who were dissatisfied with council decisions and actions. I don't back away from the difficult issues. As the saying goes, past performance is the best indicator of future performance. My priorities for the next term would be a 10-year plan that minimises waste and uses the many ways of engaging you in the development of that plan. Ensuring we hear the voices of people in our smaller townships by reimagining the community committees that currently only serve the townships of Forth and Turners Beach. Clean streets, safe roads and easy ways for you to report the things that council should know about. Refreshing the face of our towns using art that celebrates our talents and our stories. Councillors only employ one person, the General Manager, and the General Manager is responsible for employing all the other staff that serve Central Coast. The coming 4-year term will see the retirement of our long-serving General Manager Sandra Ayden, and the Mayor you elect will provide the guidance and direction to the other elected members as they make this very important decision. My professional work is in continuous improvement and organisational culture, and my qualifications in business and public policy make me, I believe, the best placed mayoral candidate to support other councillors in this process. I will commit to be available to you through regular visits to other townships. I will defend and represent you through whatever reform the state government brings our way. And importantly, I will support, listen and lead the other elected members as we face 4 years of significant changes. In this, the first year of compulsory voting, a milestone year in council hearing the full voice of our community, I seek your support as Mayor and Councillor. This community is diverse and it has a lot to offer, but we have challenges as well, and I'm committed to working as part of a team
on all of the challenges ahead. Thank you.
Cheryl, thank you for that. Originally, we were going to have Gay Bryan speak at number 7, but now that she's arrived, we invite her to give a candidate statement. Gay, thank you.
Hi everyone, how are you all? I just want to tell you a bit about myself first because I think it's important that you get to know who I am. So I've lived on the Central Coast for nearly 30 years. Originally I lived on a dairy and a cropping farm at Nyetta, and now I have a beautiful little cottage in Ulverston that I just love. During this time I've raised 2 amazing children, and I've had a really successful career in finance on the coast. So to put a little bit more into context, I worked at B&E, which is Bank of Us now, and you may have seen me on the billboard at East Ulverston as you've driven past the shop. I was the lady with the plant, I was on TV, I seemed to be everywhere all at once at one stage, which was a bit embarrassing, but anyway. I've also worked for both state and federal politics, and over a period of time I didn't really agree with where the party was going, so I did resign as a member about 5 years ago. So I have no affiliation with any political party or anything like that. And I guess my children are older now, so I've come to the point where I have all this free time, and I've decided that I'm going to focus on what makes me happy. And that's my job at the Northern Cancer Service, and it's helping people in our community, and even people obviously outside of our community. So my decision to run for council, it's not based on political aspirations or anything like that. It's personal gain. It is purely what I want to give back to the community, because it takes a village to raise 2 children, and I feel that that's what the community's helped me with. So it'll come as no surprise to people in the room, I guess, that our main industry is a primary production and retail, and that was in the last census with all the information that we have. They were the 2 top industries that we have here in the Central Coast. So the last few years, it's been a real testament to the success of all of our retail owners in the area. We have people that come from all over the coast. We've got Harris Scarf, but we've also got some great little boutique shops, and they're very niche and very unique. So we do tend to get a lot of people coming from outside the area, but we have obviously we're supporting the area as well. Ongoing consultation with the local community, so the 7-day makeovers that we've had in Penguin, Ulverston and in Turners Beach has also helped us provide ongoing facilities for our families and places where they can gather and enjoy. The sports precinct in Penguin and the Hive in Ulverston have been a great success, and I'd just like to congratulate the council on their vision and their input in doing that, and also thank Mayor Bond and thank you Sandra for your input in the council, because you ladies have done a terrific job. While living at Nyetta, one of the things I was always grateful for was the upkeep and maintenance of our roads and the roadside. I always felt safe driving on the roads, even in really climatic weather, especially snow, and knew that if I had to pull onto the shoulder, if there was a truck coming or something, that I would always be safe. If there was bad weather forecast, the maintenance guys would be out fixing the road, getting everything ready. But I've just noticed during the last few years, I have a son that lives back there now, and there's been a really dramatic change. So the roads aren't as good as they used to be. There's large potholes, there's quite a lot of mud, the culverts are starting to fill up with water whenever we have a large downpour. So I think that's somewhere that I'd like to see a little bit more focus. If I was elected to council, I'd put more resources towards making safer roads for our rural communities. We've got a lot of people who live in Haybridge, Royen, Loongana, Guns Plains, Naida, Preston, Spread, Kindred and some parts of Forth, and I think they all deserve to feel safe when they're driving to work, as like we do too when we're in town. We also have a lot of truck drivers who are bringing fresh produce down from the farms, one of our great businesses that we have. It often appears that rural people tend to miss out, and when we need to have more funds to spend on our town areas. So I guess I'm a team player. I believe in respecting my fellow colleagues, and I'm strong and passionate, and I have a really great moral compass, and I hope to be a voice for all people living in the Central Coast Council. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gay. Our next candidate is Amanda Dibrose.
Thank you, James. Good evening, everyone. I just want to start off in the name of transparency by saying that I am a member of the Collingwood Football Club. I'm a member of the Australian Labor Party, but not an ALP-endorsed candidate, for I'm standing here as a member of this community. In this past term of local government, it has been so rewarding to see the opening of the Dial Regional Sports Complex, Dial Park, the progress of the Penguin Foreshore Remediation and Upgrade Project, the opening of the Fairway Pump and Jump Park, the newly updated skate park, the Hive, and the flying of our First Nations flag outside the council chambers. The introduction of the food organic and garden organic bins was a decision that many councillors copped criticism over. However, we worked our way through many issues, knowing that it was the sensible and responsible decision for the betterment of our community in the long run. From working in a milk bar, splitting scallops, working in a sobering up unit and many other good blue-collar jobs along the way, I've learnt that not everything is black and as white as it seems, and people from all walks of life add value to our community and should be treated accordingly. Currently, I'm the chair of the Ulverston Secondary College School Association, a member of the Doors to Mentors Action Group, the West Ulverston Child and Family Centre Learning Centre Local Enabling Group, a council representative on the East Ulverston Swimming Pool Committee, as well as a member of the Central Coast Reconciliation Action Plan Working Group and a founding member of the Little Free Pantry. Employed as an elected officer for Senator Anne Urquhart, I assist members of the public with various issues, which requires me to work with many different service providers and federal and state government departments daily. My desire to help people is my motivation, both in my employment and as a councillor. I believe there is a need to maintain a vibrant CBD, and we should look to improve and update our parks and playgrounds and to continue to focus on being a family-friendly municipality that attracts visitors to the Central Coast. Our community should be proud of how it is now accepting diversity, and we should aim to ensure that the Central Coast is a place that welcomes everyone who wishes to be here, making it a great place to live. Homelessness and displacement is a problem we cannot look away from. And being able to make sure that we can provide the most basic services like shelter, showers, should be of a high priority for looking after the most vulnerable in our community. A caring community is a community that will continue to thrive on many levels. I strongly believe in and stand for local businesses and their employees, for one does not exist without the other. Support for and the nurturing of our young and our youth, as well as supporting our elderly residents. This is also a reason why we need to continue to look for the safest options and cycleways for people to safely get to school or town, whether they be walking with prams, riding bikes or mobility scooters. Better access to services for our rural residents who continue to battle on in some of the toughest times. Am I someone who thinks that Central Coast Council should be focusing on community wellbeing on a whole as well as roads, rats and rubbish? Absolutely. Am I someone who believes that everything can be improved over time with grit, determination and perseverance?
Yes, I do. Regardless of what I believe we could do to improve and enhance the lives of Central Coast residents, nothing can be achieved without listening to you. As a councillor, we cannot make decisions on our own, for we're only one of 9, so it is important to try and get the other councillors to listen to what the benefits could be of some of our ideas put forward, and that could be passed as motions. For this, I'm grateful to the other 8 councillors who I have had the fortune of working with over the past term. It has not always been easy, but the outcomes we have achieved, I believe, have made it all worth it. I would like to take this opportunity to wish all candidates all the best, and thank you to the new candidates who have put their hand up to represent you, and to thank our retiring Mayor Jan Bond and councillors Tony Van Royen and Annette Overton. I wish you all the best. A huge thank you to the Central Coast staff. You are valued and you are appreciated. Lastly, thank you to my mum, Gail, my partner, Andrew, and my daughters, Hannah and Tara, who keep me motivated and provide me with support when needed. Thank you for listening, and I hope you consider to give me your #1 vote for councillor. Thank you.
Amanda, thank you for that. And on the Collingwood issue, I'm sure if we put a shout out around the state, we'll find another one somewhere. Our next candidate is Lyndon O'neill.
Thanks, James. Thanks, everyone. And the job isn't getting any easier. Listening to all you people, we're in for a pretty good council, no matter what the result. So I'm not going to dawdle. I ran, I only got about halfway through my speech last time, so I'm going to fly straight into it. Good leadership, accountability, mindset, values, critical thinking, empathy, and the necessity to be non-judgmental and manipulative are values I look to bring to the Central Coast community as a councillor. Indeed, right now we face difficult challenges which will continue to test our resilience. I'm so pleased I've decided to share a bit about what I've already provided to the community, as I've already heard tonight many of the ideas that I have for the future also. Tonight I'm sharing a few achievements and interests which reflects my character and how I see myself as a community member. Within the North West Coast region, I operated a service station and a workshop, beginning this journey from the ripe age of 21, offering the good old driveway service and becoming good friends with locals that trusted me to repair their vehicles. After a period of about 15 years and having grown as a person, I found myself looking to assist many of the youth at the time, many of whom I'd witnessed grow within the community and had perhaps fallen through the cracks of our systems of education and broader community support. Yet understanding that these kids and their families were good people and somehow deserved opportunity. Suddenly I found myself involved in the role of a mentor for these kids. Embracing the power and the spirit of mentorship, I worked alongside a local social worker, was provided opportunity to work with Olsen High School and set out on the journey of providing the kids an opportunity to reset and become involved within a framework which was created and constantly reimagined to fit their needs. A journey which was supported by education, community, council, and indeed learning services and other support services such as youth justice and our local police. The outcomes from the next few years include a lot of these kids completing their HSC, becoming active within the community through learning life skills and growing a sense of purpose. Many have gone on to become part of our workforce, purchase their own homes and grow a family. They break cycles, and in doing so, they also awarded myself. In 2008, I was awarded the Tasmanian Crime Prevention and Community Service Award. The Olsen area went from being one of the highest areas of juvenile crime to one of the lowest during these years. Together with a few of the kids, we travelled to the Rosny Police Academy and was presented the award by the Commissioner of Police at a gala event. Wow, this wasn't achieved by myself alone. With the support of agencies and other stakeholders such as the Central Coast Council, great things were achieved within the region. The Council provided opportunities. A couple of these opportunities included the creating of the now famous Olsen Men's Shed, where we collected equipment from community donations and set up the early premises at the recreation ground. Council also provided opportunity for the kids to access the Civic Centre, kitchen for cooking classes, provided staff to assist and provided transport by means of community transport bus to pick up and deliver the kids from and to their homes. We had fishing trips and other outings with our local adopt-a-cop and build trust between each other and a sense of worth. I've been involved with the Olsen Surf Lifesaving Club since 15 years of age, perform roles within the board and coach nippers. Football is very much a part of my family's life. My kids growing up with Auskick, juniors and the senior clubs. Been involved with both the Olsen and the Penrith memberships, and I currently remain active within football as a trainer, offering both my experience and also first aid skills. My personal journey continues to bring lessons on how to manage myself and to allow growth and continual learning through the ability to change my position and the lens with which I view society. It really is a continually changing and evolving space. Being open to analysis and criticism can only be healthy for our personal growth and for the growth of society and communities as a whole. I recently attended a workshop on the subject of leading resilient communities, facilitated by the Tasmanian leaders and the Australian Rural Leadership Foundation. We have some of the highest figures within the country in areas like economic growth, exports and tourism. However, the data also shows we are leaders in homelessness, environmental impact, lack of health services and mental health. The report has flagged our region and state as one of national concern in the areas of health and wellbeing of people, communities and the environment. As a Healthy Country planner, I stand for each of these concerns and issues and look to be part of the remedial actions. Thank you. Thank you.
Our next candidate is Patrick Fabian.
Well, good evening everyone. My name is Patrick Fabian and it's a pleasure to be here with you tonight to meet you all and introduce myself. I'm standing for the role of councillor in this election and would like to spend some time helping you to get to know me better. So I was born and raised in Ulverston. In fact, I was one of the last babies born at the Ulverston District Hospital here. And I attended Ulverston Primary School before learning at Ulverston High and Don College. I then moved to Hobart where I studied to be a teacher and met my wife. In 2014, we moved back to the Central Coast and bought our first home here in Ulverston, where we raise our 2 young children and I work as a teacher and member of the senior leadership team. Growing up on the Central Coast was a huge blessing, living in a relaxed and safe community to be involved in sport, local bands and community organisations. As a dad, I now take my children along to activities such as soccer, footy, Joey Scouts, being involved with and getting to know people. I want my children and the next generation of young people who live here to have the same, if not greater, opportunities. As I said, I'm a teacher and work with young people, helping them with opportunities and future careers and passions. We want them to have opportunities and reasons when they finish school to stay here or soon come back. For a great life, they can also go on to raise a family. I believe council plays a vital role in partnering with the community to allow for opportunities to have a great life. What I think is really important is the skill and value of listening to others, to listen and genuinely care and understand where they are coming from. So I'm here to listen to you, to learn about and understand what you want for your local area and to make it the best place to work, to grow up, work, raise a family and retire where we value our environment, history and small town community feel. Over the past few weeks I've spent time getting out into the community talking with lots of different people to hear about what they think is important, what matters to them and the things they care about. I've spent time with business owners and workers, sports clubs and community organisations. I care about supporting these organisations because they are so important to create positive community where people are able to socialise, care and support one another, help out and enjoy the things they love. I also care about how we can support those less fortunate in the Central Coast. And I've been meeting with charitable groups to learn about what they've been doing and support that can be provided. It's an issue that may go often unseen, but it's very real, and work needs to be done to support them. I think here in Central Coast we can dream big. Talking with people, particularly with small business, they want to see ways we can attract people to visit and live in our bit of paradise. I want us to consider what activities, attractions and events we hold here that people say, you've got to get to the Central Coast. You've got to get to the Central Coast. We can do this through partnering with our local businesses and community groups, with Council leading the direction and strategy to really put Central Coast on the map. The values I will bring to Council are integrity, hard work, professionalism, and being servant-hearted and compassionate in all that I do. My words that I've been sharing with people are here to listen, here to serve, which sums up what I'm about. I'm here to genuinely listen to people and what matters to them, and to act in the spirit of service. If elected, I will be a hard-working councillor who will be readily contactable, taking each issue and concern seriously, and thinking deeply and carefully about motions at Council and the strategic direction for our future. I've been pretty busy getting around to meet with and talk to people about what they care about, and if elected to Council, I guarantee I will continue to be busy and work hard for you as your representative. So I'm asking for your number one vote, to be your representative on Council, to be able to do this. I look forward to speaking with people afterwards and getting to know you better. Thank you very much, have a good rest of the evening and talk soon. Thank you very much.
Patrick, thank you for that. Ladies and gentlemen, it's now 7:15. We've been going for an hour and 15. We have another 10 to work our way through. What I was going to do, again, using my stopwatch, was to suggest if you want to stand up and stretch and just sort of get a bit of blood flowing through the muscles. I have started, I'm about to start the stopwatch now for 60 seconds. Feel free to stand up, but don't leave the room. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an apology from Greg Wing, who's a candidate in the election. He couldn't be here, but I have a statement to read from him. I will apply the same protocol of using the stopwatch, but I can see from the length of this, I think I'm going to be within time. So for Greg Wing's statement, I read as follows. Hello all. I wish to apologise for my absence this evening. The change of date now has me in sunny Brisbane, which is nice, but there is still no place like home. Seriously, the reason for nominating for council is quite simple. I have lived and worked in this community all of my life, and I believe it is time to give something back to a community that has afforded me countless opportunities during that time. This is a strong and stable council, and if elected, I will give 100% support to the Mayor and to the Council to assist in working to keep it that way. There are two areas I would like to focus on if elected, and they are mental health and our youth. With mental health, I would like to work with Council and other community groups to help raise the awareness of the stigma that surrounds this illness and look at ways we can improve the health and well-being of the whole community by creating an environment that is safe for all to talk about all or any issues they may wish to. With our youth, I would like to talk and listen to our young community leaders on ideas on what may benefit them moving forward and involve them more in Council, giving them an appreciation of the work that is performed. To finish with, I would like to congratulate all the candidates for their nominations and wish them all the best in the coming election. End of statement, 1 minute 23. I'd now like to invite candidate Justine Brooks.
The land that we are standing on today is belonging to the judicial custodians and pay my respects to leaders past, present and future. I would also like to pay my respects to the current councillors who have done a wonderful term of 4 years, and having been an ex-councillor myself, I know how hard that is, but just how very rewarding it is. Thank you. And as a former local government general manager myself, I'd actually like to pay my respects and say thank you to Sandra for her and her team pulling this together. And finally, thank you to everyone who's come out tonight on a school night to listen to your candidate statements for your future representatives. I think it's important to carry out your due diligence so as to ensure you select the very best team to represent you at the table. So who am I? My name's Justine Brooks, and I expect that no one here or hardly anyone here would even know who I am. I am a Royen. I am not a daughter of the Central Coast area, I am a daughter-in-law. One of your sons went out, married me and brought me back. And isn't that what we want our children to do? It means that I haven't grown up here, I haven't got the long-standing history that I've heard a lot of the other candidates, and that's admirable. I do, however, have local government experience and had to resign that position when we moved here, or when we sold our property and moved up here. I hope that my skills, and I believe that my skills are transferable. I'm a community-minded person. I dedicate myself to my community. I'm on public record of having done that for Georgetown Council, and I'm now committing myself to do that for the Central Coast region. Whether I'm elected or not, I will be involved in anything and everything that's going on that aligns with my values and interests. Hopefully one day, probably in a couple of decades, you might consider me a local. I look forward to that time. So why would you select me for your council? I have 14 years plus of local government experience. I'm a town planner, been a municipal planner, a director of development, a general manager, and then when I took a role as the CEO of the Northern Sexual Assault Support Service, I ran for council because I had a number of projects that weren't finished and I wanted to see them through to fruition. I'm an advocate for my community and I fight for social justice issues. I'm a long-standing member of the Vinnie's Food Van, I'm a Bonorong wildlife rescuer, I've done reading at the library, you name it. If I feel like I'm giving my time to a value and a cause that's important to me, I'll be in there. I'm a director in my company, which means, and it affords me a lot of flexibility to devote my time to council. And I believe I bring not only experience but qualifications. As I mentioned, I'm a Master's Qualified Town Planner. I have an MBA, a Master's in Business Administration. I'm a project manager and I'm currently studying leadership. Now, someone mentioned earlier that qualifications aren't all that they're cracked up to be, and that is absolutely correct. But it does provide you with the skills to be able to sit at that table as local government becomes even more difficult an environment to work in. We have the same amount of money or less money, but more work to do. Councils used to be rates, roads and rubbish, but now they're that front interface with the community, and they are responsible, in my opinion, for a lot of the health and wellbeing issues that are responsible for helping, I should say, for health and wellbeing in your community. We are all here, every single person has said that they are committed to this community and their values align with mine. And in fact, Amanda, your speech, I've had to just put some of mine aside because it's so similar. And I would be remiss of me not to say, because my father-in-law's in the room, that I too am a Collingwood supporter.
You found it.
It's not that hard. So some of my roles quickly as a councillor, the things that I got across the line that I'm pretty proud of. I initiated the Georgetown Placemaking Committee. I'm compassionate about placemaking. Basically what placemaking is when you think back as a child and you think of a park or a place you went to, the beach, there was something about that you remember as you grow up. That's placemaking. Whatever it was, that's what I focus on in my career. Making places that people remember, that they go back to time and time again. I also put forward a motion to establish a community strategy for family violence. And I talk a lot. Thank you for listening.
Justine, thank you for that, and you saved us quite a bit of work. We found that Collingwood. Our next candidate is Garth Johnston.
you, everybody. Oh, it is a good turnout down here. Thanks for everyone coming. My name's Garth Johnston, as you've just heard, and I've lived in Penguin now for 20 years. Coming to what Justine said, I got told I'd be local after 10, and it was 15, and it was 16. I'm still not sure, but I very much feel a part of this community. My background, I'm 58, I live in Penguin. I came here on the 2nd of December 2002 to Tassie, and on one of my farewell cards from Victoria when I was there kicking and screaming, it said there's a town called Penguin, that must be cute. So I moved over on the 9th for a look, went back, picked up a caravan, drove back, and that's where I've been ever since. I've been involved, my background includes 30 years in tactical law enforcement. That includes police and corrections, Royal Commission investigations into organised crime. I've worked with mental health. I currently drive a bus for people in wheelchairs that otherwise wouldn't get around to things. So disability access is one of my big things, and disability recognition. Look, lots of things have been said that I'm all for. Yeah, there are some issues with roads, and lots of other things. But the one thing I've found with the Central Coast Council, and this isn't a suck up, this is a fact, regardless of when I've had a question or I've approached them or I've had a query, I've always been responded to. So as a frustration, it's been quite intriguing early on, not so much now, when you say to people, well, if you brought up that concern to the council, and they would say, oh, what's the point? They don't listen. And it's like, well, they can't listen and address something if you don't bring it up. So for me, community engagement is if you have something and you're a little bit timid to do it, I don't back down. I'll come up and ask a question. Give me the facts, give me what your concerns are, and I'll do it. But there'll also be that encouragement to come along, because people really need to hear it from the individual, and I think that's important. It might be just one person's desire. It might not be for everybody, but at the same time, I'm the sort of guy who will listen to what your concerns are, look at the facts, do the forensic investigation so I understand it better, and put it forward. So for me, that's how I deal with things, is if I don't understand, please tell me. I do like talking, but my grandfather said you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. If someone is talking, use the 2 ears, don't use your mouth to just justify and clarify. So I try and do that, but I do like a chat. I've got a few little things down here, and I didn't know what to do, but my 4 sort of things on my little magnet: community engagement, public safety, integrity, and disability access. And there's one thing in Penguin, which is one of my big things: there's a real dearth of wheelchair-friendly public toilets. And driving people in the bus, there's times where I have to drive way off track just to find a toilet for them. And I've actually lifted 3 grown men onto toilets in the last 2 years in Penguin, rather than, to put it bluntly, dirtying themselves. And that's really embarrassing. Not so much for them, although it is for me, that they can't just wheel in somewhere. So that's one of my things. I do a lot of support work for Limbs for Life. Those of you who may not notice, I have an artificial leg. I ran 8 years ago, got first out, that doesn't mind. 4 years ago, I rolled up in a wheelchair with a fiberglass condom over my leg, or what was left of it. And people asked if I was running, and I said, no, I can't. And they over the head like a hairnet. But I had a bit more to do, but I haven't sort of stopped. I've been on the safety advisory group as a Penguin rep for the last 10 or 12 years. Love it. I have a neighbourhood support page that I try and keep going and getting things together. I do a lot of work with Limbs for Life, and I do some peer support work and helping people. It doesn't matter to me. I'm approachable. My background, as people have said, I might have someone today that has shot at me or stabbed me as a policeman, and tomorrow they're the victim, and that's how you treat them. You don't holding grudges is pathetic. Other people I don't like, yeah, there are. Thankfully, they're all on the mainland, the North Island, and many of them are doing life sentences. So not seeing them doesn't worry me. But I still get Christmas cards and Mother's Day cards. So I'll let you put that to some thought. Basically, for me, I'm just passionate about this area, and thanks to the councillors we've had, great group of people that have come in, and you're making my voting really easy at the moment because I'm ticking through my 9. I'm even putting myself down the list. But seriously, I'd like to thank Jan and Sandra for what they've done, and for the councillors that have sat already. Some of you I know, some of you I don't know as well as I'd like to. But for everybody, I wish you all well. I think from what I've heard so far, it's a really good group. So thank you for your time. And
Thank you, Garth. Our next candidate is Philip Viney.
Thanks, James. It's great to see everybody here, the size of the attendance and also the interest being shown towards the council elections. I'd also like to thank retiring Mayor Jan Bond, councillors Tony Van Rooyen and Annette Overton for their service to the council over the past 4 years and more. I'd also like to congratulate all the candidates who have accepted the challenge to represent this municipality in this directorship role. This is a huge responsibility to manage the finite resources of the community and give the best facilities and services possible to all its citizens. The Central Coast Council, in fact, is a large corporation with turnover exceeding 43 million, net assets of over $500 million, including 678 kilometres of roads, 87 bridges, 158 kilometres of pathways and growing, and 100 parks and open spaces. Not forgetting the over 190 employees to manage. This is a huge responsibility. You do now know why I'm reading some of the notes rather than trying to remember them. The council is not a giant magic pudding. We're expected to run a balanced budget with all additional new projects being equally matched by either spending cuts or increased rate revenue. I wish to thank you for allowing me the privilege of representing you in the past 13 years as a councillor, and I'm now calling on your support for re-election as a councillor with the additional responsibility as Deputy Mayor. I've been a continuous resident of Ulverston for the past 59 years, and after 42 years as a professional accountant, yes, I'm an accountant and I do apologise for it every day. The past 20 years have been as a CPA sole practitioner accountant, tax agent and business advisor here in town just across the road. And I have a lifetime of community involvement. I wholeheartedly believe that cooperation between local government and our hard-working community groups is the key to preserving the Central Coast's natural beauty, growing our agricultural industry, harnessing our vibrant business culture and continuing to improve the lifestyle of all our citizens. I'm actively involved with Lions and currently the Vice President of the Ulverston Club. Chairman of the Tasmanian Lions Foundation. That sounds like a grandiose title, but we actually manage $2 million of Lions money for Lions projects throughout the state. And I was recently awarded life membership by Lions International for my, obviously, membership and activity during that period. I've also been involved in surf lifesaving, basketball, football and cricket, and I'm currently the Vice President of the Central Coast Crows Cricket Club. As you can see, I've had plenty of experience in a chairmanship and committee sort of role. I also represent the council on the Youth Council, Audit Committee, Community Shed Committee, Development Support Committee and Sprint Primary School Board. I've also been the Treasurer of Switch Tasmania since its inception over 10 years ago, an organisation established by the Council to assist start-up businesses in this region and beyond. I don't know why I was thrown into the Treasurership role, but anyway, you get that. As your new Deputy Mayor, I believe that strengthening all these relationships and ensuring a sustainable future in our youth are the keys to producing a future that we can be justifiably proud. This is my continuing commitment to you. I'd also like to say that I'm extremely proud of the work that we've done within the Council over my past 13 years with the Council and 3 terms. And although that's been great, there's always more we can do and more improvement we can do in that process. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Philip. Our next candidate is is Gary Carpenter.
Thanks, James, and welcome everybody. And apart from the person sitting down in front standing for council, I'm the oldest guy here. But I feel young. My body might be young, but I do feel young. So I've nominated for council and for your mayor, and for the last 12 years, I'm proud of what this council's achieved. I've been 6 years standing as deputy mayor. And when I listen to the candidates in front of me, and congratulations on putting your hands up, there's not a lot that's really too bad about Central Coast. I know we cop some flack occasionally on and off, but in reality, when I listen to all these at the front here, most of the items are fixed or fixable or on the long-term agenda or the short-term agenda of Central Coast at the moment. So we continue to do a lot of things. I'm not a person that goes out and wants to be on the front page. I'm a farmer. I've worked all my life, self-employed, lived at South Rona, Guns Plains, and now settled in North Mont. Running 3 farms at one stage, plus everything else I was involved in. And he, from ill health, had to cut back to one. Been involved in all sporting clubs, and I've always took over on the downer and not the upper. Rebuilding. I love empowering people. I love empowering community groups, not taking over. I love to give the community the power to do the things that they believe needs to be done to suit their community. The people in the community know what and when and how it's required, not council dictating to them. Believe in communication. Yes, and at times we get it wrong, and we'll always get it wrong. I'm national chairman of Holston Australia. Just had a big AGM over in Ballarat. I was told in no uncertain terms that we got communication wrong on a large group. So I know how to get it right and I know how to get it wrong. But I stand for stability. And one thing I am sure of, an unstable council will bring you into real trouble. An unstable council with no process and direction and no strategies is a recipe for disaster. And I assure you, as your mayor, that I will always continue to keep that stability with inside council. And when you listen to the council that's nominated tonight, with your vast array of experience and what you bring to council, you will need a leader that you can share with, that will listen to you, that will bring you in, that will be part of that group with you, that rings you on a regular basis and involves you in all decisions making. Stability to me is number one. I'm sort of thinking about now, where we're at now, and we have spent a lot of money. We have had a lot of money drop into Central Coast in the last 12 years. And if you think about it, it's in tens of millions of dollars. There's a lot of communities along the coast and every other part of Tasmania that hasn't got the facilities we've got. We've got some unbelievable decisions to make in the future. Some of them are going to be difficult. Some of them are going to upset people. But as a council with stability, we've got to do that. I'm thinking of my things as a councillor and what's really a concern to me. The dial is one of them. When I first stood on council, I said to everybody, the dial is the jewel in the crown. I believe it's time we go to government and say now that we take over the management of the dial. Because it's been a definite handbrake on everything we want to do. A real handbrake, that we've got to get out of that. We've got to change that institute, or whatever the word is, of parks to make sure we have control. I also have a real concern about strategic growth of our community. I love tourism, but when do we get to the end where the balance is wrong? And I've lost you as a group of local residents when you're overtaken by tourism. I know we haven't got the infrastructure for big imposter tourists, but they will come. They will come with the boats, 30% more to come on the boats in the new ships, so we can see it coming. We've got to be above the ball. I am a proactive person, always have been. I hate being reactive. I hate using band-aids. I hate trying to fix things up that should be planned and done properly. I know full well about the rural roads. And along with Phil, we know full well about our financial stability within council. We've got to continue to work with that. We've got to have them processes. Otherwise, we will come under extreme trouble in the future and leave a debt for our next generation to pay off. I love sport. Absolutely make no apologies about sport. I would love to flip everything upside down so our youth today can go and use our facilities free of charge. We have community groups that go to work and then we turn around and charge them to look after our kids. That annoys me to no end, and I know at the moment council's working on that. I'd like to thank the Mayor, retiring Mayor Jan, for the work you've done in the last 17 years, to the two councillors, Tony and Annette, for the work you've done in the 4 years. And I ask for your vote for the councillor and Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. The next candidate is Micheline Andrews.
Hello, my name is Micheline Andrews. I'm a small business owner, nutritional health coach and product developer. My husband, also a small business owner, is Pete the plumber. I'm a mother of 2 children, have lived on the Central Coast for 20 years, and I love to represent you as a fresh new voice on the Central Coast Council. My attributes are listening and my down-to-earth common sense approach. I'm passionate, ethical and caring. The opportunity to represent you on council means so many things. As a ratepayer, I know the importance of accountability and being mindful of where and how our money is utilised. My contributions to local priorities will be a back-to-basics approach, repair and maintenance of our old worn footpaths, improving these for all who use them, and most importantly, eliminating safety hazards, including the rates, roads and rubbish. To provide support to active community groups, working alongside when needed. Community groups are an essential asset to the local economy and the health and well-being of our community and their members. I want to ensure that our young people have opportunities that maximise their capacity to learn, work and live in our region. Providing safe and stimulating dog areas for humans and dogs to exercise. Feral cat management. I would love to see a voucher system rolled out into our community to help in desexing cats for low-income earners. We as a community need an effective feral cat management plan in place and need the council to be proactive in this. I aim to fully support and promote small businesses where more support is needed. We are currently in challenging times. Keeping the Central Coast parking metre free is a draw card for visitors to the town centre and our local community. I'm in full support of more parking spaces within the town centres, directing more visitors and community into local shops and businesses, which helps with their revenue. I will actively support local industry and work to continue attracting investors to the area, generating local spending and stimulating our economic growth right here at home. This is achievable. I'm a proactive supporter of keeping our beautiful parks, towns, rural areas and coastline waste-free. I would like to see an improved rubbish management plan. Establishing locally developed environmental education programs for our younger generation, encouraging them to dispose of their litter properly. Changing the structuring of council events so they'll become waste-free as possible, sustainably planned, recyclable and environmentally friendly. Local pick-up events, especially within rural areas as they seem to be left out. Climate change and erosion planning. I was astounded to hear about the local erosion on the Central Coast. We must be proactive with this. Connecting and listening with our senior community. Rural community halls need attention and maintenance. Rural roads need improved maintenance strategies and schedules to keep the roads cleaner and improve safety for heavy machinery, farming and dirt areas, and keeping the verges clear. More council assistance and communication with farmers for plastic waste removal. Arts and events. Provide full support to businesses, artists that bring events to the local area to promote and boost our local economy. Providing initiative taking support to services who help the homeless within our community, and supporting the coastal bicycle pathway. I've been very proactive over the years in the community. Some examples are the Penguin Makeover community from the onset, proudly involved in the Penguin Tidy Town win, the Ignite Women Tasmania since it began, previous committee member for EcoFest for 2 years, previous member of the Chamber of Commerce for 3 years. I'm highly active with the local organisation of Sea Shepherd Marine Debris Cleanups, and I'm immensely proud to say that I set up the first TerraCycle depot here on the northwest coast, and recently becoming involved with the Royen project. I'm proud to live on the Central Coast and feel it's my time to take a step and be a voice of the active leader in our community. Vote for Micheline Andrews. Thank you.
Micheline, thank you. Our next candidate is Michael Smith.
Hello, my name is Michael Smith. I grew up in the Central Coast area and was educated in Alveston. I'm married with 2 children. I've been a member of the Alveston Lions Club for approximately 25 years. I co-owned KS Office Supplies for approximately 20 years before it was sold here in Alveston. I joined Midway Furniture approximately 18 years ago. Co-owner for 5 years and have been the sole owner for the past 2.5 years. I'm sometimes referred to as Midway Mike. I believe that families are an integral part of our community and will always be your voice. I will always be accessible with a genuine interest in being able to represent all. I will respect all residents and their concerns. My objective is to assist local residents to improve the standard of community services delivered here, especially in the retired and aged care sectors for our ageing population. We will need to focus on the things that matter: upgrading footpaths, drains, public parks, sporting and community facilities. I'm also interested in the well-being of our rural communities and their access to services. Our local shopping centres need enhancement and growth strategies. Ensuring opportunities in employment, education and lifestyle so families remain an important growth area of this Central Coast. I have a positive attitude and a genuine interest in people. I am hard-working and reliable. I will always try to be careful with my criticism and liberal with my praise. I will stick to the traditional values. I will not deviate into areas which come under the jurisdictions of state and federal governments. If elected, I would like to come to be known as the People's Councillor, because you are the people that I will represent. People, not bureaucracy. That's what matters to me. I am asking for your vote. I hope you will give me the opportunity to demonstrate the difference I can make in the Central Coast. Thank you.
Michael, thank you very much. Our next candidate is Adam Muller. Now, Adam has asked that I read his statement for him, and he's indicated that he'll be very happy to talk with people one-on-one in the informal mingling session afterwards, but I'll read his statement as follows, and it's for a role as councillor. My wife and I own a small farm in the Lungana Valley that we're building up from scratch, converting an old plantation back to pasture. We love the valley and northwest Tasmania. I wish to bring my experience living in and dealing with many councils, together with approximately 20 years in agriculture, a few years in finance and insurance broking, and 8 years owning a building company, to the Central Coast Council, where I hope to work with the other councillors to make our region an even better place to live. What I stand for: I am against new overhead high voltage transmission lines. If they are needed, they should be undergrounded like they do in many other advanced economies around the world. Whilst it is a state issue mainly, I feel council could be more vocal on this. Why should our farms and beautiful landscapes be needlessly ruined and property values reduced with no compensation? Pro better and safer roads, pro less red tape in dealing with council, pro keeping rates as low as possible and hopefully reducing them, pro agriculture, pro business and tourism, pro improving waste management, accessibility and services. And owning a rural property on the outer edge of the council area, I feel I can bring another much needed diverse perspective to the council and want to make sure all residents are heard for the betterment of everyone in Central Coast Council area. So if you want renewal or new blood on council, I will make the time available and do the work to get things done. Thank you, Adam. Our next candidate is Andrew Van Royen.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for coming out this evening and investing in selecting your future council. As your 26th speaker this evening, I plan to do something a little different, so please bear with me. For those who don't know me, my name's Andrew Van Royen. I'm 41 years of age. I live here in Ulverstone with my wife Ruth and my 3 children, mostly adults now. And at this election, I'll be running for a position of councillor. And very shortly, I'll be going to tell you why. But first, let me tell you a little bit more about myself. I'm privileged to have lived here on the Central Coast for 35 years. As well as working across the northwest, it's fair to say that I'm passionate and loyal to the region. My working history includes real estate sales, working with the long-term unemployed, raising aspirations for education with UTAS, and working as a finance manager with major banks, and currently employed as a financial counsellor assisting small businesses who are in need of financial assistance or the possibility of hardship. I have a diploma in finance management and brokerage, as well as currently completing a diploma of rural financial counselling. This evening we've heard from some great candidates, and I'm certainly encouraged by the diversity of skills and the commitment they will bring to this community. So with that, I'll take this opportunity to talk to you about my priorities as well for this council. So bear with me. I have before me some buckets. But I want you to look at these buckets. This bucket isn't something for storage. It isn't something that provides scope to be poured out upon election, and it isn't a bucket list of things to be done, but it's the priorities that I would like to bring to council. So first of all, the priority of our roads, our parks and our paths. So a priority to ensure that our roads, our paths are maintained to the highest of standards, including our country roads. The continuation of the coastal pathway, absolutely, but gee, let's not forget about our residential streets. Our suburban areas that need upgrade as well. Our streets, our roads, our paths. This is the window front to our community. It attracts businesses and visitors to our region, and it's very important. The next priority I want to speak to you about is the priority of our rates and our financial management. If elected, I'll make it a priority to our residents that they will get bang for their buck, maintaining a responsible and economical budget so that we're not raising pressure on the cost of living for our families and pushing people beyond their means. In saying this, we also need to provide a healthy balance sheet so that our future generation is not paying for our debt. And let's not forget our waste management. My priority is to provide sustainable collection that not only aligns with environmental future, but the current needs of our community. So often I see rubbish dumped in our parks, our open spaces, the contamination of our FOGO, contamination of our recycling. This is evidence that we can still do better in this area, and that is something I would like to prioritise. A priority is a sustainable vision. Sustainable vision isn't just about having a band with a lot of good ideas. What it is going to be is providing vision for development, for planning, for zoning that encourages businesses, industry, manufacturing to our region, jobs for the future, for our children, for the next generation, housing and community buildings that can benefit the whole community. But let's be honest, our vision alone is useless without good consultation. And that's something I believe that we can do better at. I want to provide and prioritise better consultation. the members of our community so that they are not only included, but they are involved in the decision-making process. By being involved, they're going to share the passion that we have for our community and the governance of the future. And last of all, my priority is to the leadership. I'll provide leadership where your voice is heard, to represent you with integrity and compassion, provide leadership that will work collaboratively, but with bravery to question the norms when needed to do so. So with any good structure and any good organisation, we always require perspective. And that's something I want to prioritise to this council. As perspective to ensure that we are making decisions that steer our community and provide support for our organisations, especially those community organisations that provide outreach and supporting our community, those most vulnerable. But also that the council is upholding the values and keeping up the ethos, the values and the beliefs of our community. And last of all, I'll provide balance. A balance to this council. A balance there where that... Oh, I'm at the end. Thank you very much. Well, these are my priorities, and I ask for your priority in voting one for Andrew Van Royen.
Andrew, thank you for that. Our final candidate to present this evening is Sophie Lehman.
Hi everyone, and first of all I'd just like to say thank you to James for your unwavering precision tonight. You won't need it for me. I'm Sophie Lehman and I'm running for councillor. I'm a mum of two, and girls, if you're listening, you should be in bed. I'm a project manager and I live in Ulverston. I wasn't born here, I was born in Sydney and I grew up in Brisbane. And I've lived in big cities all over the world, but there is no place I'd rather be than right here on the Central Coast. I'm just going to lift this up just a touch. How do you do that? It's obvious tonight that we're all here for the same reason. We all want a better future. So the difference between us isn't what we want, because it's the same thing. The difference is what our priorities are, what skills we can bring to the table, and who we are as people. So my priorities. Firstly, we have to get the basics right. I know it's boring and unglamorous, rubbish, rates and roads. There's no reason though why we can't be creative with our approach. Can we reimagine rates payments for new homeowners? How can we help young families struggling with the nappy years and the size of their rubbish bin? What can we do to make these basics more sustainable, both environmentally and in the business sense of the word? When it comes to our future, we need to put everything on the table and dare not judge ourselves for wanting to come up with something incredible. Next on my list is to take a closer look at the way the council communicates with the community about changes. I know there's currently an engagement strategy in place, but it needs to go deeper. We need to start the conversation sooner. Perhaps it's an ongoing discussion. And we need to make sure that the voices of our residents can be heard when they need it most, and in a way that suits them best, not just as a box-ticking exercise for the council when it's convenient. I'm also passionate about an inclusive future, which to me means that people of all ages, all abilities, and in all circumstances have the opportunity to thrive. One aspect of this is how council plans to manage our increasingly automated future. Not only how we support the vulnerable subset of the community who will struggle and will be digitally illiterate, but at the other end of the spectrum, how do we provide opportunity in spades for those who are technologically advanced, enough so that they stay here on the Central Coast? This needs careful thought. As a project manager by day, I'm well equipped to get all these ideas moving on a practical level. That's my skill. I've worked with businesses, both big and small, for the last 15 years, helping them improve their systems and processes and deliver changes to staff. I know it's not going to be easy as a councillor. Hey, We talked about this. I know it's not going to be easy as a councillor, but I know I'm the kind of person you'd want sitting at the council table. I'm easygoing, I love detail, and there's no such thing as a silly question in my book. One last thing I'll leave you with is one of the values of the company I work with, which is no ego. I love this because it encourages people to do things for the right reasons, rather than to make themselves the hero of the story. We need more of this at our council because that is going to be our answer to a better future. Good luck to everyone here tonight, and thank you all for listening. I'm Sophie Lehman, and I would love your vote this coming election.
Sophie, thank you very much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the candidate presentations for this evening. Can I add my personal thanks to all of the candidates for coming along, for putting themselves out there, and for being prepared to present to the community here. As a member of the community, a great opportunity for me to sit and observe and hear some fantastic ideas. Of course, as you know, this isn't the end of the election journey for local government. The postal votes, I believe, start being issued next week, and voting will go through, I believe, till about 2 o'clock on the 25th of October. So the opportunity that's been given tonight for our audience here tonight and for those watching it on live stream is to continue to think about where you would like to, I suppose, focus your further investigations. And here tonight, do take the opportunity over a sandwich and a cup of tea to talk to the candidates. Thank you all for being here. It's been a great pleasure to be part of it. And do join us for some refreshments. Thank you.